Well, what have we got here? It looks like the Congress rejected refilling the Exchange Stabilization Fund as it has lost billions trying to support all markets. You don't read this in the paper every day, so I thought I'd read this to you guys. Coronavirus response bill isn't a corporate bailout, says Steve Mnuchin, criminal banker. Democrats say legislation to provide $425 billion for a treasury fund. I wonder what treasury fund that would be. Is too generous to companies and lacks enough oversight. Where was Congress for the past 100 years? Actually, it's only, 80 years since 1934 when they passed the Gold Act. The Gold Reserve Act, I think it was called, where they invented the Exchange Stabilization Fund and made it legal. But the Exchange Stabilization Fund isn't about making money. It's about stabilizing markets, which means they have to take massive losses. Apparently, they're running out of money to stabilize the markets. And Mnuchin's looking for $425 billion. That he leverages up because of the Federal Reserve Banking Rehypothecation Act, also known as fractional reserve lending. They're going to take that $425 billion and increase it to $4 trillion. That's how markets are rigged. But we're seeing here that it's a little too formal for Steve Mnuchin. Normally he'll just do it anyway because they've always had enough money, but apparently now they don't have the money. Here's what Mnuchin said. We need to get this legislation passed today, said Mr. Mnuchin before negotiating on the relief package resumed on Monday. U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin on Monday said a coronavirus response bill he is negotiating with Congress doesn't amount to a corporate bailout, pushing back against Democratic criticism. Now listen, this is rare that they admit this. The bill would provide $425 billion for the Treasury's Exchange Stabilization Fund, an obscure pot of money that the Treasury has used in recent days to cover losses on new lending facilities launched by the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve is trying to bail out the banks and are not being successful. Everything they do, they're losing money on. They're buying up the stock market and then the stocks dive. Quote, I've heard people out there refer to this as a slush fund, Mr. Mnuchin said in an interview with Fox Business. It's not a slush fund. It's a mechanism that we can use working with the Federal Reserve that will provide another $4 trillion of potential liquidity into the market. There you go, fractional reserve lending. That's on top of the Fed's balance sheet. If it's not a slush fund, what the hell is it, Mnuchin? It's a mechanism slush fund. I'm not a Democrat. I don't ever root for the Democrats, but this time I'm rooting for them. Mr. Mnuchin said he is meeting with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to continue negotiations over the bill, which stalled in the Senate on Sunday due to Democratic opposition. Democrats said the measure was too generous to corporations and provided the Treasury Secretary with too much discretion and too little oversight. Quote, we need to get this legislation passed today, Mr. Mnuchin said. Okay, the day is done and it hasn't been passed. What's the problem there, Stephen? The Fed unveiled Monday morning a significant expansion of its lending facilities in coordination with the Treasury, which must sign off on the programs. 3 new facilities will create $300 billion in financing for corporate credit markets as well as consumer business credit markets, with the Treasury covering $30 billion in losses with money from the Exchange Stabilization Fund. So the Fed's bailing out, buying stocks, buying bonds, buying everything, suppressing the price of silver, and losing money. They lost $30 billion. So Mnuchin wants another $425 billion so they can lever it up to $4 trillion. Apparently he's expecting a lot more losses, right? The Fed also said it would launch a Main Street business lending program that will support lending to eligible small and mid-sized businesses. Screw that. If you're a mid-sized business, take that loan and never pay it back. In a statement issued after the decision, Mr. Mnuchin said the Senate bill is designed to provide money to support Fed lending operations. Oh my God. I never knew that the Exchange Stabilization Fund would run low on money ever, because mostly they use just derivatives. But it looks like they ran out of money, and Mnuchin is begging Congress for it. Watch, he's gonna get the Democrats to say, okay, we'll bail you out if you bail out every single customer on planet Earth, because we get reelected. This is like a direct path to socialism. Both sides are fighting for socialism. Whatever happened to a free market? Free markets take care of themselves. People who make bad bets should lose everything they have. Yes, the entire banking system should be gone by now. And it would be gone by now if we practiced free markets. We would have never gotten into this situation. Watch, Mnuchin will be out on his ear after this one. Hey, Congress, don't do a thing. Don't do a thing. Let the bankers burn. That's what this money is being filtered back to the bankers. Even the money that's being given to the individuals. Everybody's going to get a $2,000 check. Where's it going to go? It's going to pay your rent, which goes right into the bankers' coffers. They get it in their coffer, and then all of a sudden they turn the $2,000 into $20,000, and boom, they're back in business. Don't let it happen. How can you stop it? Yell and scream like I do. Yell and tell your friends and family. Say, this is just the exact same thing we went through in 2008, in 2000, in 1987. You could go back. I mean, every 10 years, these bastards collapse and we bail them out so they make more money. What happened to the go-go days of a couple months ago when they're giving themselves massive bonuses? How quickly we forget. Why not collect up all their bonuses for the last 10 years and use that to bail out, mainstream America? How's that idea? Congress, you got to think better on this. Go back and claw back all the money you gave to the banksters. Take all their shareholders' equity. Fire every official CEO, CFO, COO, anybody on the board. Take all their money and then allocate that to the people. That would be justice. Do not give Steve Mnuchin $425 billion to refill the market rigging fund called the Exchange Stabilization Fund. We don't need it anymore. That game is over. And money is not going to put anything on the shelves. It's not going to open up China's distribution arm. China's done with us. It's over. Get over it and move on. More to come. I do want to tell everybody I just upgraded the coronavirus graph because basically the numbers are doubling every 2 days because of the testing that's finally being done. Right now, I think we're up to 46. I updated it last night at 32 with 415 deaths. These are actual numbers. I think we're like 45 or 46 in just 24 hours with well over 500 deaths. So I updated the chart to basically show for the next 2 weeks, doubling every 2 days, how that will turn out. So by April 1st, we'll have over 1 million people with coronavirus if they keep testing. And 13,000 deaths. Now, from there, I think Trump will say everything's fine. We've already peaked, and he's going to turn off the shelter-in-place rules around the nation, just because the economy is more important to him, and the actual numbers will continue to increase, but they won't report them. And I projected those numbers out. So by May 3rd. We're looking at 262 million people infected with 3,339,000 deaths. If the numbers stay at 1.3%, we will have a crisis right in here, right in the April 1st timeframe, right at the end of the quarter, the worst time for the banks, right? And this is all playing into the banks crashing right then. Make sure you go to Road to Ruta on the private road. So we're going to have a hospital crisis here. These numbers are going to jump from 1.3% to 5 or 10%, hopefully not 20%. And that makes these numbers go moonshot. Tens of millions dead. That's if Trump speaks too early about going back to work. But There's give and take. You're going to crush the economy. It's already crushed. There's no economy left to revive. China will not trade with us, and all the banks are insolvent at this moment. So I think the only smart thing to do for Trump would be to keep the quarantine on for as long as need be, let the system destroy itself, and then start fresh. And that might be the call. Forgo all economic activity, destroy the fiat monetary system, and for the good of humanity, for the good of saving millions of people's lives. And then we start fresh, and we put people in jail. Anyway, dreaming dreams right now. Bix Weir, I'll talk to you later.